The 9th anniversary for Dokkan Battle gave us what is, in my opinion, the absolute best that Dokkan has shown and also has to offer. We saw crazy good easy A's, plenty of variety in the difficult fights that they gave us, and 4 of the best units in the game to summon for, including, in my opinion, the best unit in the history of Dokkan Battle. Now let's go ahead and look at the banners, and we will start with part 1 and then move our way down to part 2. Okay, so the part 1 Dokkan Festival is here. We had LR Full Power Broly. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen at this point that Full Power Broly puts forth some of the highest attack stats that we have ever seen, as well as just the one of the highest attack outputs that any unit in the history of the game has put out. We're looking at a unit with a domain that's putting out 30 million plus attack stats, doing 4 to 5 supers, just an unreal amount of damage, but with that does come a little bit of a drawback with his domain mechanic. Now, the domain mechanic would be fine in theory, but the controversy that comes with the domain mechanic is the fact that his team has multiple of them, right? And you can see one of the culprits down on here on the bottom left corner of the banner with Tech Zamasu, where Tech Zamasu also brings the domain mechanic, but the issue is you can't overlap them, so they become a little bit of they work against each other, right? That is one of the problems. But what this Broly does, when he came out, we were talking about like him being like #1 in the game, but one thing that an anniversary needs, in my opinion, is the heavy hitters that are going to bring the hype, but also be good at the same time. Now, some anniversaries do this extremely well, and others do not. We look at the 5th year anniversary, it brought the hype, but it didn't exactly pack a punch in other places. We had the 6th anniversary, which brought some unique content and some good units, but the problem is it was very overwhelmingly favored towards Ultra Instinct Goku, and the rest kind of felt secondary. Then you have like the 7th anniversary, which was another example of an anniversary very, very well done, where part 2 is a little bit on the sketchy side, but Saiyan Saga, I would say, is very hype. But we're talking about the 9th anniversary. This anniversary absolutely brought it home, part 1, with fun fights, really good units, and the hype was definitely there. So that's the first banner. Let's look at the second banner, which had Gogeta Blue. LR Gogeta Blue brought forth what is known as the taunt mechanic. This is a mechanic that essentially disables the enemy from doing anything aside from AoEs, where the enemy is going to be targeted all of their attacks onto one enemy. So with this Gogeta Blue, on his taunt turn, he gets guaranteed dodging, and every attack that goes towards Gogeta Blue, which is every attack the enemy does, Gogeta is going to dodge unless stated otherwise. So that is his main appeal. He also has dodge chance when he is in blue and guard when he is in his base form, aka his Super Saiyan form. So Gogeta is also bringing the hype. You think about an anniversary headliner, Gogeta Blue is one of the first names that comes to mind, and these banners all in all did very well, reaching the top grossing level on iOS and just barely missing out on the Android one due to, I believe it was Blue Archive. If you guys are familiar with that game did outgross it, unfortunately, but a very successful part 1 for the 9-year anniversary, but the best is yet to come. Going over to part 2, let's start with the Carnival banner first. Now, you look at this banner lineup, and if you are like a global player or you're just a JP player, and you look at this beginning lineup right here, and you are like, holy hell, this is hype. We got the Gammas, Gamma 1, Gamma 2, doing their iconic introduction pose with LR Bulma, LR Future Gohan, LR Cooler Movie Goku, and LR Kai opening Goku. This is one of the best banner images I have ever seen, and it is for a Carnival banner. You were talking about featured units on here that go absolutely crazy. You know, 3 borderline top 10 units in the game on the right side, and then 2 utility units on the left who have seen better days but are still okay. And the other sides of the banner are decent. But what the Gammas bring is they're bringing back the standby mechanic in order to do the core breaker that Gamma 2 does in the superhero movie against Cell Max. And what was funny about this unit is during the initial data download, when we saw these guys, if you don't know, the data usually comes to the game early in most cases, and players that are able to access it can take a look and see what the units do. This unit was actually bugged when it dropped, and the unit was doing unrealistic attack stats, doing something like 60 million and stuff like that, and that was obviously not what those guys were going to be doing, but nonetheless, they were still phenomenal, still, you know, a top 6, top 5 unit in the game. Not #1, which is reserved for the Dokkan Fest of this part. In my opinion, the best unit that Dokkan has ever made, and that is LR Beast Gohan. Now, Beast Gohan has a bit of a funny reputation in these Dragon Ball Gacha games, where it seems like when he comes out, the whole thing shifts. And in this case, Beast Gohan did in fact do that. So that is super hype. Beast Gohan just defensively is a wall. Almost no boss in the game can do damage to him. And on top of that, he also brings the taunt mechanic that Gogeta Blue had. But instead of him dodging everything, he just took all the attacks, but you couldn't do damage to him anyway. So he was able to offer protection to the rotation and save units who could not take hits otherwise, which is very good. And he also has a unit super attack with one of the other better units in the game being Orange Piccolo. You link them together and they are able to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So LR Beast Gohan, he is #1 undoubtedly. You look at the initial response, there was no controversy with this guy. He was just that dude. He was him. Everybody was like, yeah, Beast Gohan, he's that guy, the best to do it. And all in all, I would say that these 4 banners, when you look at an anniversary where you want the complete package, right? You have hype and good kits. It doesn't get much better than this. All 4 of these units are phenomenal. They excel in different roles. They bring different things to the table, and all of them have extremely valuable banners. So with all that being said, let's move on to the second most anticipated part of the anniversary, aside from the good units, and that is the Easy A's. Starting off the Easy A's, we are going to be looking at what was part of the Countdown celebration, and this was STR Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, STR Ultra Instinct Goku, unfortunately, was on the lesser side of things when it comes to these Easy A's, but nonetheless, he still got a major glow up from where he was at. It's just the way that the bosses were power crept during this anniversary. It was hard for him to keep up just on the way that they were hitting just so hard. But STR UI Goku is able to put out crazy good attack stats and has a very good linking partner with an Easy A, 2 Easy A's that we'll be talking about later, but this guy still is bringing a lot to the table. You talk about an anticipated Easy A, one that we've been looking forward to for a long time. This is one of those, so, you know, you kind of knew that the tone was set for this anniversary when we were opening up before we even got into, like, the meat and potatoes. We were already starting with STR Ultra Instinct Goku, who became much better, but unfortunately, like, the Part 2 and Part 3 bosses did not fare well for this guy, but this Easy A was the tone setter, and we knew that the 9th anniversary was not playing around. Let's move on to the next one. So if the first Easy A was not any indication of how this anniversary was going to go, allow me to introduce to you the second major Easy A of the 9-year anniversary, and that was the LR Broly Trio. Now, this unit went from being just like completely niche to a unit that just was absolutely mind-bogglingly good. Like, I remember people were calling this the extreme version of Bulma, and honestly, I don't think I could have said it better myself. This guy, when I say they gave him a glow up, I mean that in the best sense possible. Let's just kind of look at this, what they're doing. They give attack support with certain orbs, they give defensive support with certain orbs, and then with Rainbow Key Spheres, they're giving attack and defense support. And they also have guaranteed chances to dodge with 7 Key Spheres, and I believe they are also, they're also an orb changer when you need them to be. When they're at low HP, they get the guaranteed dodge, right? And then when HP goes to under 39% or lower, they change the whole board to physical orbs, similar to what blue transforming Vegeta does. If you guys remember the physical transforming Vegeta, when he goes to blue, he does the same thing. So, not to mention, these guys are also getting attack and defense plus 30% per key sphere obtained, and then if it's physical, they're getting an additional attack and defense plus 10%, and then additional key plus 2 per key sphere obtained. So, haven't really went too much into the specifics, but I feel like with this guy, it was absolutely necessary to talk about just how much better they made this guy. So, 4 years later, this Broly Trio definitely got the long end of the stick, if you will. They got a very good Easy A. So, with that being said, let's move to the next one. We can actually just do that right here. We don't even need to cut. We can just go ahead and move on to the next one. It is right here, the Blue Boys. These guys became an absolute behemoth. Just right away, they're basically, like, you don't really have to build them up much. They are just a Rainbow Orb merchant, but instead of it just being stats they get on damage or on Rainbow Orbs, they are now getting damage reduction. They have crit chance, so they're basically going to be doing 4 to 5 supers. In my experience, almost all crits, and they can also, if the boss can be debuffed and have their attack lowered, they can also do that. So we're talking 4 to 5 supers, all lowering attack, all doing crits, all having major damage, also while being self-sustaining with Rainbow Orb changing. They made this guy from being reliant on others to just being absolutely sick. Like, disgustingly good. So, this Easy A was definitely some proof that they were not playing around and they meant business this anniversary. But honestly, they don't even hold a candle to who we're going to talk about next. Now on to my favorite unit of all time in Dokkan Battle, AGL Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, I could talk about how good they made this guy for 4 hours, probably. Right away, you guys, I'm sure most of you will say, his 70% chance does not feel like a 70, it's more like 30, haha, right? But this guy, on his first turn, he has 100% chance to dodge. And then after that, he has 77% chance to dodge, and is going to be getting an additional 7% per dodge. So after 3 dodges, he's up to a 98% chance to dodge on that turn. So if he gets the 4th dodge, he has guaranteed dodge from after that. So when it comes to taking attacks, he's still not the best defensively, but he absolutely is bringing a lot to the table with the attacks. He now gets a guaranteed crit on 24 key instead of it just being a coin flip like it was on 18 key back in the day. He is a very good linking partner for STR Ultra Instinct Goku. He's a very good linking partner for Beast Gohan. He's a very good linking partner for Evolution Blue Vegeta, who we'll talk about in a moment. This Easy A is one of the best in the game, probably the second best Easy A in the game behind the unit we're going to talk about next, which is Evolution Blue Vegeta, because I'm sure most of you watching know that he is his counterpart. So we will just move to that. Again, I'm not going to go into a massive breakdown on each unit, but we will at least talk about the anniversary, or in the recap of the anniversary, we'll talk about what they did. But this Evolution Blue Vegeta essentially has the same offensive skeleton, where he has a baseline damage reduction, but is also doing the same kind of crits, right? He has guaranteed crit on 24 key, and then his additional supers have always been guaranteed crits, but now the damage numbers have been ramped up to 1,000, right? We're talking about like seeing 20+ million attack stats with guaranteed crits, and for an easy A, that is pretty incredible. I would say that both of these units are somehow better than the Part 1 summonable LRs, which is usually not the case with Dokkan, but when you look at this roster, you probably say, yeah, this was the best anniversary ever, and then they did something that nobody was ready for. Coming out of the woodworks on February 29th at around 9 p.m. my time, 24 hours ago, actually, they tweeted out details for STR, Vegito, and Physical Buhan getting their EZAs as part of Part EX for the 9-year anniversary. Now, a Part EX coming off of the 8th anniversary was definitely not in the cards. A lot of people probably just assumed like, hey, you know, Part EX was just like a one-time thing just to make the 7th anniversary crazy. We didn't get it for the 8th anniversary, but nay. Omatsu said, hold my beer, everybody. We're going to Part EX, and here we are, and didn't they give us a treat with Part EX? EZA Vegito. Now, the base form does leave a little bit to be desired, but they still have a lot going on, and when you go to Vegito, this is like a top 3 unit in the game. He is incredible. There's a lot of different things you can do with him. He brings a scouter and all that fun stuff, but again, this EZA is just further pushing the agenda, right? This was already the best anniversary ever, and then they put a cherry on top. They're like, the cherry on top was done a month ago, but they're like, here's another one. Let's go ahead and make this the best anniversary. And that is what they did with this guy. And if we want to go over to Physical Buhan, we can just bring him up as we're talking here. We have Physical Buhan, who also is bringing a lot to the table with his defensive ability, his offensive ability. Buhan, when you transform into Buhan, he again is like a top 5 unit in the game. It is a little bit tough to get there, but if you can manage to pull that off, you are definitely rewarded with what is one of the best units in the game, and that is this Buhan. So that wraps it up for all of the EZAs. Let's talk about some of the events that they did and also the difficult content. Okay, so we're going to kind of speed blitz this a little bit just for the sake of not going into too many specifics, but what they brought us here was this Pan, Trunks, and Goten event where you would essentially go in and farm these water bottles, which drop right here, and you would exchange these water bottles. I can't show them over here because I've already exchanged them, but what you would do is exchange these water bottles right here for stones, and I believe this ended up giving a total of 50, so that was very good. A 50 stone event for very easy. You just went in and ran it until you had everything that you needed. We had this event right here, which gave us free-to-play Pajama Beerus, who is a very, very good free-to-play LR EZA. And then we had a TUR EZA for this Frieza, who was not so good, but nonetheless was still stuff. That gave us a guaranteed ticket summon that we will talk about later towards the end. When we go over here to the growth events, we had this event right here, which gives stones. We had this, which is a link level event for superheroes and super bosses. We had this right here, which is EX skill orbs for superhero category. We had this one, which is EX skill orbs for the super boss category. And then this was not part of the anniversary, and that was not part of the anniversary as well. But we also got an announcement that the Whis event, this is not part of the anniversary, but we'll at least talk about the announcement, that this is going to begin to have unlimited attempts so you can farm until you get the skill orbs that you are looking for. So that is huge. Now, moving on to more of the events, let's continue to go. It's a lot, I know, but that just shows you how good this anniversary was, right? We had the Dokkan event for Beast Gohan, we had the Dokkan event for Broly, we had this little event right here. I believe this was this a 1-stager or a 2-stager? I forget. They haven't updated this, but it was a 1-stager. You can see right here, we had, honestly, I don't remember what this was. I think you fought like Hit and stuff like that, but it was super easy. Essentially what it was just free stones. You can see here a bunch of different missions that you could get just for free. So free stones right there, which is also very helpful. Then we also had the Supreme Battle Spectacle, which was one of the more difficult events in the game right here. We had this stage versus Beast Gohan. We had this stage versus Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. We had one versus Trunks. That's Ultra Instinct Goku. This one was Evolution Blue Vegeta. This one was Sword of Hope Trunks. And then this one was Super Saiyan God Kaioken. This one was Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta from Revival of F. And then this one was God Goku, if I'm remembering that correctly. So 6 moderately difficult stages, or 8 moderately difficult stages, including 2 of the harder fights in the game with Gogeta and Beast. So that right there, more stones. Then we also had this, which was the Dokkan Excite Battle, which had 38 missions, which all had a ton of different stones to collect. So you can see we had stones, Elder Kais, Link skill orbs, and stuff like that. All free rewards from this anniversary. Then we keep moving down, continuing this gauntlet. We had the superhero memorial stuff. Again, more stones, more missions, more stuff, more content, more things to do. Against Beast Gohan, against the Gammas, against Gogeta, and against Broly. More hard fights. And we had Movie Bosses 2 red zone, which had 7 stages. I believe this started before the anniversary. This one started with the Harudegarn stuff, but it was added on during the 9th anniversary with the Beerus and the Golden Frieza stage, which is obviously nice, more content. And then we also had the Intensifying Fights. Stage 2 was added to this. Stage 1, I believe, was before the anniversary. And then we continue to move. We had a support memory stage come out, and we also had the addition of the 9th anniversary battle, which was very good because, again, this gave free stones and was very fun to do. 2 different styles of fights that brought a unique challenge to the table. And we also had the movie boss rush for the red zone. And we'll talk about the last one more after this, but the movie boss rush, you know, would also give us extra stuff. This was, again, more free stones with category missions and stuff like that. This was all of the final phases of the prior boss rushes, so you could do a final boss marathon into one stage without having to go in between each stages and doing all the fodder stages. And then last but not least, we had the Cell Max Stage 2, which was a very tough fight. Look at the Cell Max fight originally that we had and put it on steroids. That is what that was. So I believe that is everything. We also had an Infinite Dragon Ball History, that is right, which again, more stones. We'll probably do a video recapping how many stones there were in this anniversary. This also reset right here, so you're able to get 39 more stones from that. But we'll probably just do something in the future talking about how many stones you're able to get during the anniversary from everything that came out. But all in all, this anniversary was an absolute slam dunk. That's the recap of it. I think that this was the best that they've ever done. Omatsu and the team really did a great job. This anniversary was so much fun to play, so much fun to cover. But I think now that Party X has happened and we know who Easy Aid, all of the major developments have come out. And I think we can talk about this because the anniversary is over here in a few short days. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the anniversary. And if you're playing global, you're looking forward to it coming out in July. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one.